Hi, my name is Nicole Guyton, and I would like to speak with you about something that's rarely spoken about in public, especially in the United States: mental illness. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, 1 in 5 adults suffer from some form of mental illness. That's 48 million people. 18.5% experience some form of mental break each year. But I'd specifically like to talk to you about bipolar disorder. 2.6% or 5.7 million adults over the age of 18 suffer from some form of bipolar disorder. It affects women more than it affects men. Some people aren't aware that they have bipolar disorder because it can take up to 20 plus years to get an accurate diagnosis. Some people are aware that they have bipolar but choose to suffer in silence without seeking help because of the stigma that goes along with having a mental disorder. But the odds are that you know somebody that does. Some people believe that having bipolar disorder is a choice. But let me ask you a question. How would you feel if you woke up one morning and felt you didn't have the emotional strength to deal with the world? Have you ever felt lonely when you've been surrounded by people in a room? What about the feelings of hopelessness one minute or euphoria the next minute, all while running on little to no sleep? Does that sound like a choice? The purpose of this informative speech is to define bipolar disorder and explain some of the signs and symptoms and potential causes of the disorder so that you can recognize when someone you know may be in need of help. First, the definition. You need to understand what bipolar is in order to be of assistance. Once you know and understand what to look for, even though the signs may not be clear at first. Bipolar disorder or manic depression is a mental illness marked by extreme high and low moods, insomnia and other sleep disturbances, and varying energy levels, as well as unusual behavior. There are different types of bipolar, 4 in total. Types 1 and 2 are the most severe, with type 1 being more acute than 2. With type 1, you must have at least one episode of mania. Manic state or mania is an episode of unusually elevated or irritable mood with increasing or abnormally high energy levels. Also includes sudden inflation of self-esteem and has consequences such as risky behavior like carelessness with money and being promiscuous. Type 2 or hypomanic or hypomania doesn't reach the level of mania, but they are similar. With mania, it usually lasts about a week, but can last longer. Hypomania lasts about 4 consecutive days and doesn't require hospitalization like with type 1. For more information on the different types of bipolar, visit the website for NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Health. According to Psychology Today, researchers are still learning about the potential causes and or nature of bipolar disorder, but most see things the same. No one thing causes it, but rather multiple circumstances, such as strong family history. That's the greatest risk factor. Stress, such as money or relationship problems, or even a death in the family can trigger the first episode. Today I've given you a lot of information on bipolar disorder, but there's so much more to learn. Now that I've educated you a bit, let's go over what those things are. We've learned the statistics of the number of people with mental illness, more specifically bipolar disorder. We've learned the definition and the 2 types of the most severe form of bipolar disorder, as well as the signs and symptoms and some potential causes. If you think you have bipolar, do your research and seek help, but remember it will be okay. If you know someone that has bipolar, get informed and be as supportive as you can. Having bipolar is not a choice, but is believed to be influenced by genetics and life experiences. Having bipolar, if you have bipolar, you are not bipolar, so don't let it define you. It may be a life sentence, but it is not a death sentence. You can live a happy, healthy, and productive life despite having it, and I'm proof. Thank you for listening to my speech.